Big move coming. That's what we're talking about here on this edition of the Kansas City Chiefs Report. Tyler Jones here. Thanks for joining us. I got 5 potential trade targets for the Kansas City Chiefs ahead of the NFL trade deadline coming up on November 5th. Could we see Kansas City make a blockbuster move? We will dissect everything you need to know and talk about some potential fits for Kansas City on today's show. Thanks for joining us. Before we go any further, though, folks, between now and kickoff, between our game with the San Francisco 49ers, we are in a sub-battle with our 49ers report. Chase Sr., host of the 49ers report, good guy, good friend, but I would love nothing more than to absolutely destroy Chase Sr. and the San Francisco 49ers. We need to show why we have the best fans in the NFL. We want to beat the Niners, not just on the football field, but off the football field as well. For daily Chiefs coverage, live shows, watch parties on game days, daily news and rumors, breaking news, Q&A mailbags, and more, you got to be subscribed to the Chiefs Report. Subscribe now for free, youtube.com/ChiefsTV. Let's start with a big one here, folks. Budda Baker, Budda, the safety from the Arizona Cardinals. And I'll say this would be more of a luxury than a necessity at this point in time. I think that when we look at the safety room for Kansas City, it's pretty solid. But if a guy like Budda Baker is sitting out there available potentially for a trade, it's hard to ignore a guy of this magnitude. Budda Baker already off to a decent start to this season. He's had 60 tackles, 3 TFLs, and his resume is fantastic. He's been to multiple Pro Bowls. He's got a chance to potentially be a Hall of Famer someday. You go back to statistics in 2022, had 2 interceptions, 111 tackles, 1 tackle for loss. There's no doubt in my mind that if you were to trade for Budda Baker, then this could be a difference maker for this Chiefs team, that you would see a significant uptick in how good that safety room looks, adding him in with Cook and Reid and others, and the flexibility it could provide, potentially to play some 3 high safety looks. Budda Baker, I'm intrigued by this possibility. Your chance to be Brett Veach should the Chiefs trade for Budda. It's our pinned comment today. You might get an ad break while the ad's playing. Get your votes in. Let us know. Type T for trade, P for pass if you think the Chiefs should trade for Budda or not. Let's go to New York now. New York! That's where we find Mike Williams, the wide receiver for the New York Jets. The Jets have been very active the last week or so, firing Robert Saleh, trading for Davante Adams, and Mike Williams appears to be the odd man out. Dun, 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 dun. This is a cheap option for the Kansas City Chiefs for a need for this team that comes, I think, if you're looking for bargain buys, and that's what Brett Veach is the best at doing, is finding guys that you wrote off at one point and getting them for peanuts, essentially, and then having an impact. Remember last year, Chiefs made a trade with the Jets for McCole Hardman. And then what do you know? Who had the game-winning catch in the Super Bowl? McCole Hardman. And Oz the Mentalist told him ahead of time what was going to happen. That's exactly what was going to happen. You can't doubt Oz the Mentalist, by the way. I mean, if Oz tells you something, it's going to happen. And that's what happened to McCole Hardman. I mean, the guy's a wizard. But anyways, back to Mike Williams anyway. Mike Williams, so far this season, his impact has been minimal. 10 catches, 145 yards, 14.5 yards of reception. But you think about it, you add him in the mix, who's to say that he can't do what Juju's doing right now? I know he'd be better than McCole Hardman, and I think he'd be competing right up there with Justin Watson. Xavier Worthy's still trying to find his footing. Mike Williams, I think, is a cheap solution that you could potentially get a lot out of and would be a lot better suited for what the Chiefs do than that lethargic New York Jets offense that's got so many problems there. I'd be very intrigued by that possibility of bringing in Mike Williams. More trade targets to talk about here in a moment, but first, let's tell you about today's sponsor. That is Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the place to go for daily fantasy made easy. Here's how it works. Choose 2 or more players in any given category. Get the choice of more or less, whether you're talking fantasy points in football, rebounds in basketball, goals in hockey, home runs in baseball, all sorts of different categories to choose from. I'm looking ahead to Sunday, as I got our guy Kareem Hunt. They have more than 55.5 rushing yards. I got DK, touchdowns all day. They have more than 68.5 receiving yards. If I put $20 down and both these hit, that turns into $60 on Prize Picks. Play along with me, prizepicks.com/SaleItS, promo code SaleItS. And I got a great deal that I am offering you. Because I am a nice guy, I have decided that I will give you $50 through Prize Picks when you spend $5. In fact, you don't even have to win to get the money. It's that simple, folks. PrizePicks.com/SaleItS, promo code SaleItS to play along with us today. You'll be glad you did. Let's go to the corner position now. The much talked about corner position for the Kansas City Chiefs. Everybody and their mother, when there's a trade target at the corner position, points to the Kansas City Chiefs. And we have a new one now in Greg Newsome II. I like that he goes by the second and not junior, by the way. Word to the wise, don't ever name your kid junior. Nobody wants to be called a junior. Call him the second, like Greg Newsome II here. Lots of potential with Greg Newsome II. Greg Newsome is a fantastic football player, primarily plays the nickelback spot. And you think about it, Trip McDuffie's mostly been playing on the outside, moved him over from the nickelback spot where he was previously. He's kind of taken on L'Jarius Sneed's role, and they're still trying to find somebody that could take on McDuffie's old role, and Newsome would make a lot of sense. And you think about it, this Browns team is sitting here in a position where their season's essentially over. They've already moved on from Amari Cooper, and they've already showed they're not afraid to trade with some of the top teams in the American Football Conference, sending Amari Cooper to the Buffalo Bills. If you're Kansas City, why not give Cleveland a call to go get Greg Newsome II? I mean, he's going to be a lot more productive than Gavin Newsom, I can tell you that much. I think it makes a ton of sense. Which one you'd rather trade for? Mike Williams, Greg Newsome II, or Gavin Newsom? I'm kidding. Mike Williams, type MW. Greg Newsome II, type GN. Which one would you choose? Weigh in, let us know in the comments section. Let's go to the defense now, and this is where we find edge rusher Azeez Ojulari from the New York Football Giants. And this is somebody that is a needle mover. All right? This guy is somebody that can be the difference between wins and losses. And he's already had an impact on this New York Football Giants team in 2024. I'll be real with y'all. This Giants team, they ain't very good. And Ojulari has played pretty fine. 3 sacks, 3 TFLs, 14 tackles. Have you seen the Chiefs sack numbers as of late? Newsflash. They ain't great. Ojulari, I think, could be a great fit and kind of wake everybody else up. Because George Karlaftis ain't doing anything right now. Chris Jones has looked fine. Everybody else has been sleeping. Everybody else has been sleepless in Kansas City. And Ojulari, I would be very, very fascinated with, and I don't think you'd have to give up a ton for him either. Another New York Football Giant, to conclude our list, is Evan Neal at the offensive tackle spot. The Chiefs find themselves very confused at offensive tackle right now, as Kingsley didn't play that great when he got the chance to start. Evan Neal could come in and play left or right tackle potentially. Wanya Morris has been okay. Jawan Taylor's been just atrocious. Gets called for more penalties than anybody in the NFL, and his PFF grades have been just awful. I know that Evan Neal's not that great, but he is the former first-round pick. There is some potential there, and the Giants aren't going to want much for him. What do you have to lose? At the worst case scenario, this could be at least a decent depth piece potentially for Kansas City here. Why not take the chance on Evan Neal? The grades aren't great. I'm not going to tell you otherwise. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. They aren't pretty. But why not? Give up a 6th, maybe 7th round pick, and at the very least have a backup offensive tackle that's got some potential. Take a chance. Sonny with a chance. Name a player the Chiefs should trade for. I've gone through my list. Now I want to hear from you. Give me a name that comes to mind. Way in the comment section. Let us know. For continuing Kansas City Chiefs coverage, subscribe now to the Chiefs Report. I'm Tyler Jones. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.